the thing with Tony Parker is he was actually like you could argue he was like an MVP caliber player towards like that last from 2007 probably to 2014. That was like their main, probably not 2007, maybe more like 2009 ish. Mm-hmm. He won a Finals MVP. He definitely was a huge reason for the 4 championships.
Sure.
And he was, for sure, at the time, he was a top 5 point guard in the league. For that span, 100% Tony Parker was a top 5 point guard in the league. You could argue for a while he was like 3rd.
Name him.
Okay.
It was Chris Paul.
What was the window again?
Yeah.
Huh?
What was the window of years again you gave?
I think it was like 2009-ish from like 2014.
Okay. So we're talking. Keep going. I want to hear them. I want to hear the names.
Chris Paul.
Uh-huh.
Darren Williams.
Yep.
You had around that time was Nash.
Derrick Rose got to be in that conversation. He won an MVP during that time.
Yeah, but that was one of the years.
That's literally his peak, though. Is within those years you named. He was drafted and then
he was only there for like a year or two. Like
I'm putting Derrick Rose in that top 5 for the window you gave.
I disagree. Well, Tony Parker's definitely in there.
Also a different kind of point guard, so that's kind of tough.
Yeah.
But.
Damn, you're making me go all the way back.
I'm gonna say one name, but it's only in the second half. But like, can't forget about Rondo. Rondo was nice. Like,
yes, Rondo.
2012 to 2014, like that dude was nuts. And you look up some of those stat lines he put up in the playoffs. Like he was arguably the best player some postseasons for the Celtics. And they were talking about big three. It's like, don't forget Rondo, man. He was nuts.
Fact. That is a fact.
Hey, it's Franklin.
I was like, what?
Can they hear you singing?
Yep.
Okay, that's good because I was like me just randomly pausing in the. I have to.
You're getting towards the end there. That's pretty good.
But my whole thing is, I think he's more so in the middle of that than the end.
Yeah, I don't. I definitely don't.
Tony Parker's teardrop at that time was like literally lethal.
Did you say Nash? Nash is still in there too.
Yeah, Nash was one of them. The top 2 were 100% Chris Paul and Darren Williams at that time.
Yes.
Steve Nash was up there, but I think it's towards his end.
So Derrick Rose won an MVP in this period of time. It matters. Got to throw him in there.
Literally, he was for the Derrick Rose career. I'm not even trying to be like a hater. Like he was literally not that good.
I can see Dario's case for 3. Yeah, I can actually see it.
Was a legit. The whole thing is he was behind Tim Duncan, so it just makes it look like he's not as great as he was, and he's in Pop's system. Tony Parker was 100% a top 5 point guard in the league. It's not like he was. All right,
top 5. I would say he's top 5 for sure. I was even,
10, but I'll hear you out.
Like Steven Jackson says that Tony Parker was the reason they lost that championship to the Heat because he wanted Tony Parker. During that time, Tony Parker was like basically fighting for the Finals MVP, and he wanted to end. That is an actual thing that Steven Jackson has said on his.
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that I made the face for. I was like, oh, really? I'm glad I didn't put him on the list then. What an asshole.
Oh, Tony Parker? Yeah. But what I'm saying is he was at the time their best player in that 2013 Finals. 100%. Tim Duncan
I just don't know if that point helped you. I think it might have hurt you more than
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
if he's that main guy in that team and he's bringing them to the NBA Finals, that matters.
Yeah. That's fair. I just think Duncan saved it for when he needed it most once he got older.
What's funny? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we saw it in Game 6 at the Ray Allen shot game where Duncan turned back the clock and was just a total savage. It was like, we're going to win the chip tonight. I am going off 100%, 100% of my old ass. And there's all that, like, Duncan was always the main guy, in my opinion, on those teams. Like, the ball movement made them able to, and the way they distributed the ball helped obviously get them to that point. But I would always put Duncan as the main guy, even at a later stage.
And that's why you're not looking at Tony.
But I also just don't. I think going back to Derrick Rose, what's the difference between Tony Parker and Derrick Rose from a skill set perspective, in my opinion.
What?
Or in your opinion. Is he that much better of a shooter? He's not a great. Tony Parker's not a great shooter. Tony Parker's not an elite shooter.
He's a much better shooter than Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, that was one of the things he lacked, and he was a much more versatile player. Like Tony Parker could score from many different places on the court compared to Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose was literally, his athleticism was freak. It was a freak athleticism.
He's Tony Parker with hops, and like he's Tony Parker but faster and can bounce higher.
Like, I think the argument is peak performance versus just consistency and longevity. Because for me, it's like if you just take any single year of Derrick Rose at his best and Tony Parker at his best, Derrick Rose is killing him.
Yeah, it's killing him. But that's why I'm saying over that 5-year span, Tony Parker was a top. Right. I'm not saying that he was better than Derrick Rose at his MVP year. I wouldn't be that crazy, but I'm more so saying over. Like, look at.
I think their games are more similar than different. If you're asking me, in my opinion, I think their games are way more similar than different in terms of skill set. Like, take away the highlight reel dunks from Derrick Rose. They're both creative under the basket finishers. A little bit of passing, like not the greatest, not like standout defenders, but not absolute liabilities that they're getting talked about on television every day. Like their skill sets are pretty similar, in my opinion.
Yeah, but Derrick Rose is one of the most explosive guards in the history of basketball, and Parker's not even.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean.
So that's a huge gap.
Outside of the massive hops, though, outside of the fact that Derrick Rose
and the speed,
but they're like what they're trying to do is not. They want to get as close to the basket as possible, finish creatively around the rim. Right? I'm not bugging. Like,
no, I feel that. I mean, I wouldn't say like just because they kind of shoot in the same areas doesn't mean like Tony Parker. You could argue Tony Parker had an unstoppable move with the teardrop.
Rose had a pretty good floater in his own right. I'm not saying it was better than Tony Parker.
But Tony Parker, he made it a decade long thing. Like where
can't control Derrick Rose's injuries, unfortunately.
But that matters. Like we're talking about top 75. There's a reason Derrick Rose isn't even in the conversation, and Tony Parker is. Like, I think it's because Tony Parker was good enough in the regular season and definitely did what he had to do in the postseason. He won the Finals MVP for a reason against LeBron James. That don't mean anything.
Oh, stop. Against LeBron James. LeBron James and his
that Cleveland team was literally
LeBron James at 22 years old again with his pack of scrubs. And LeBron played like trash that NBA Finals anyway. Now, that Pistons series, that was one of the greatest things I've ever seen from a basketball player. Ever. But in that series against San Antonio, he was garbage.
But you see, that's why you can't. To me, you can't say one thing and then not the other. You can't say LeBron James had one of the greatest series against the Pistons, and then when he loses against the Spurs, you can't go and say, well, he was 22 years old, and I don't know which way we're taking it. Like, I personally would go, LeBron was young, all this other stuff, but
it's such a weird take because it's like if, oh my God, like Kevin McHale, let me go on and on about him, or even Robert Parrish. Robert Parrish is amazing because he beat Jordan in 1986. It's like, what? Like, they were friggin' stats. Jordan was a baby. He still put up 63. Like, and he had like the traveling cocaine circus. Like, what are you talking about? Like, such a weird take. I don't know.